Today is Monday, August 26. I'm Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Exodus 34. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with Moses and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. That's Exodus 34, verses 5 through 8. Sad to say, but summertime is drawing near to its end already. Is summer in some ways like a wilderness? Well, maybe not for the most part, but in a few respects it is. And not just because of the heat. We also tend to scatter, to slow down and change our rhythms and habits over the summer months. We withdraw from some of the grind that marks the cooler months of the year. And so, in this late August moment, as the seasons come near to changing, it's good to think of some wilderness questions for our faith. It was in the wilderness, after all, where the Lord first revealed himself most fully to Israel and first proclaimed his name to them. This is where the people of God really got to know their God, being stuck in the wilderness with nothing but themselves and God for 40 long years. Now, there were a few things that God equipped his people with in these early chapters of their desert pilgrimage for that journey of getting to know and trust him. He gave them the means to survive through provision, the manna and the water from a rock. He gave them security, the defeat of the Amalekites through faith in God. Then God gave the law, an ethical shape for their lives. He gave the tabernacle, a liturgical shape for their lives. And he invited them into rhythms of meaningful work and Sabbath rest, which offered a creational shape for their lives. Lastly, as the covenant is restored following the golden calf incident, God also affirms the gift of his presence with his people, the most necessary ingredient of all for their life and living. And as the book of Exodus closes, that presence is embodied in the cloud that fills the tabernacle with the glory of the Lord. God, their God, was indeed with them. Any time of the day or night, they could steal a glance toward the tabernacle and be assured God was still home, right there in the middle of the camp, tenting it with his people out in the wilderness. For 40 years they walked this journey of wilderness pilgrimage, learning by those long years of repetition to trust all of God's gifts of grace. Along that journey, they would unlearn how to be slaves, and they would learn for the first time how to truly be free, following and living in the provision and presence of the God who is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. So the questions for us then. What have you been learning about God through these summer wildernessy months? What are the graces that God is giving to you? What are the shapes for life, the habits, the practices, the timekeeping that he might be calling you into this fall so that your attention and trust can be better trained on him? And where is he calling you to trust more fully in him in your life? Take some time to reflect on those questions today. And may God continue to tent it with you in the wilderness as he accomplishes his purposes in your life and in the lives of all his people. And as you journey on, go with his blessing. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness and protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.